Hello, Lagos. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili, and yes, these are your hard facts. I'm hoping that you are keeping safe because we seem to be at the start of a second wave of COVID-19. So remember to wear your mask, distance, wash your hands. I did tell you, COVID-19 go sit outside. Don't go too far away from the radio, whatever you do, because I have a great show for you. First, we're going to start with the big three. Let's start CBN accusing End SARS protesters of links to. Then let's talk about Governor Kerry telling End SARS protesters to show used their donations. Then let's talk about the corporate affairs deregistering a company that may not be EIE the NGO. On today's glass ceiling, we're going to women in leadership. We started that conversation 3 weeks ago. This Wednesday to be the third in this series, and we'll talk about why so Nigeria still have a problem with women leaders. So look forward to that conversation. That's when it's going to happen. On today's big act, let's talk about the latest issues surrounding End SARS protests aftermath, including the CBN move to freeze bank accounts. 5 o'clock, that's when that's going to happen. Now, get at the top of every hour. After news at 6, bring you Lagosa. I love Lagosa. Fantastic radio play. I love it. And I hope you do as well. You can listen from 6:15 when Lagosa will be. After Lagosa, from 6, we got Let's Talk. It's a program from America that we're talking about something by the time it's 6:30. Now, it's time for the big three.
Is the big three.
The big three hard facts
on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Hi, do we have a situation where the CBN is accused End SARS protesters of money linked to terrorism? Is the CBN accusing End protesters of having money linked to terrorism? What is Governor Kerry telling End SARS protesters to justify how they spent this? Did the court commission deregister an innocent cop due to a mistaken identity? These are the stories of today, Lagos. Let's talk more information about why the CBN accounts of some End SARS protesters. First story. The Apex Bank suspects these accounts of receiving linked to terrorism. And reporting that they've seen the ex parte filed by the CBN last week for an order to the accounts. Now, I should point out, of course, that the CBN, the central bank, only filed this ex parte motion after already freezing the account. And lawyers have a problem. Lawyers and human rights activists have faulted the bank this. In fact, one of the companies whose were frozen has sued the CB freezing its account without a court. That's Gatefield Limited. They were providing for freelance reporters, freelance journalists to go and cover their own stories about the End SARS protests. It was only after Gatefield filed its suit that the central bank went to court to an order. And we talked about that here at Facts. I also talked to a lawyer about the legality of the CBN freezing these without a court order. Remember, before getting a court order, and here's what Ojuka said when I'm about the CBN. Some End SARS protesters and people who helped direct contributions to them had their accounts frozen on orders from the CBN. Now, Gatefield Nigeria took Access Bank to court, claiming the account was frozen without a court order. What are the legal requirements for freezing an account? And do you believe they were met in each of these End SARS protesters? And
Okay, so in answering your question out weeks, I'm not seeing a case that is currently pending in court. Freezing of bank accounts is not new. Let me start from there. Even though it's been open 20 years by EFCC and then now by the Nigeria, but it also accords with the rule of law. If in Nigeria is to operate his bank account without hindrance, this is subject to the regulatory power or basically being able to investigate commission of offences, let's say terrorism. All of these things can entitle them. Annexing doing acts which entitles the, for example, to apply to the court to freeze an account, post a no debit note on your account for a period of 7 days, not exceeding 72 hours, and they cannot cut. Now, in this instance, in the banks and other financial institutions that permits the Governor of Defense Central Bank to approach the courts by way of an ex parte application, will explain, to freeze transactions on an account where he reasonably believes that it is being used for a criminal offense. Now, we have seen the application that was filed. We all a motion and others which proposals made on the motion expert. He did not say under which law it was brought. I'm only speculating.
Okay.
Just a picture.
Okay.
You can approach the circumstances.
Okay.
But I mentioned the word ex parte here means only on the application of only one party. The court will hear you, but it's an exception. It's a general rule. The court must hear all parties before taking a decision. Under certain circumstances, especially cases of extreme urgency, the court can, for example, if someone is indeed committed with an account, if you give him notice to transfer the money to another account, so under the court the law allows you, the rules allows you to approach the court and the court to make an interim order for a short period of time. As you would give that party an opportunity and defend himself to say why that account wasn't for a longer period. It's me. I do not think those we met here.
Okay.
In case we bank accounts, from what we saw on the order, 20 persons had their accounts frozen by the High Court Abuja for 90 days.
Right.
The application of Mr. Ando Akayese, Attorney General of the Federation, who has come out to say he was not instructed. That's what I saw in the headline. See him say he didn't move the application because he's named the paper.
Okay.
Now, what happened next is that the case was adjourned to 4th of February 2020. So under normal circumstances, those people who had their account frozen for 90 days would not be able to access their money. If you look at that order carefully, it also says not just on the 20 accounts listed there, but on all other accounts belonging to the defender, the 20 persons. Have the legal requirements been met in this? I don't think so. What problem do I have with this order? I will say everything. One is duration. That is the major problem at order. The 90 days duration for me, big deal.
Okay.
So, the Supreme Court in the case Britannia and Seplat, the Supreme Court explained using the Federal High Court rules, which this order was purported the Federal High Court. The Federal High Court, as I said earlier, allows you a motion on notice.
Okay.
But under certain circumstances, they can allow you bring a motion party. And it says that order would last for 14 days. If the person affected by the order, because after you've obtained the order, next thing is you would serve the order on the person affected.
Right.
And he has 7 days to apply to the court to have it set aside. And then the court must hear the application within 14 days.
Okay.
Now, for the court to have adjourned the case to 4th of February 2020, for me, is doing injustice. Because by the rules of courts, you have already, on one hand, tried to deprive the person from hearing his case within 14 days. But the good thing again is that the rules of court also say that if that application is not heard within 14 days of being filed, then the order must lapse automatically.
Okay.
And if the court takes the application within 14 days, but fails to deliver a ruling within another 14 days, the order will also lapse.
Right.
The Supreme Court, in that case I mentioned, Britannia and Seplat, explained the essence of ex parte orders to say there are orders that you file you file the application ex parte and the orders are made for a short period of time. In fact, I said 14 days in Federal High Court. In Lagos High Court, it's 7 days. After 7 days, any ex parte order must lapse. So how a court would now make an order freezing somebody's source of livelihood or someone's life, really?
And it's not just the one account listed, it's any account that...
Of course, with BVN, they can track
all your accounts.
And it says they will not be able to access accounts for 90 days. That's 3 months.
So you're saying that ruling is an unjust one?
For me, I believe that the person affected by the order has more than reasonable grounds to approach the court to have it set aside because it affects the person's fundamental rights. I would argue that order, to the extent that it has deprived those persons of their source of livelihood, to the extent that it was made without them being heard, is unconstitutional.
And that was on Monday. We had that conversation with Oji Oka, a lawyer. You can listen to the full interview on our podcast, Hard Facts with Sandra Ezekwesili. It's available as a podcast. So look for the episode from Monday and then the Big 3 episode from Monday and listen to the full interview. He talked about a lot of things from the legal angle. Now, the CBN has finally gone to court. It looks like they want to correct the illegality. Now, of course, you cannot just freeze somebody's account without a reason. The court will ask you why you've frozen someone's account. And the CBN's reason, which the Punch says they've given the court, is that they think these 20 people and companies are involved in terrorism. Here's a quote that the Punch claims is from the court order. Quote, "My lord, the nature of the transactions undertaken through the defendant's accounts are of suspected terrorism financing." End quote. Oh, and here's another quote. "There is a grave allegation that the defendants are involved in suspected terrorism financing via their bank accounts in contravention of the provisions of extant laws and regulations. The aforesaid transactions undertaken by the defendants using their bank accounts can cause significant economic and security harm to the public and the Federal Republic of Nigeria if left unchecked." End of quote. So yes, the CBN is saying that these End SARS protesters are using the money in their accounts to fund terrorism and to engage in activities that can harm the nation's economy and the nation's security. What do you think about that? 0700-993-993-993 0700 993 993. Now, of course, remember that I always point out that the president, the vice president, the speaker, the governor have all said that the goals of the End SARS protests are correct and that peaceful protests are a legal right. You also need to remember that one of the people whose accounts was frozen is part of the Lagos State Panel of Inquiry. You have to remember as well that the End SARS organizers were putting up statements of account online showing what they were using the money to do. And with all of that in mind, tell me what you think about the CBN's purported submission to the court that these accounts are suspected of funding terrorism. I should also point out that nowhere in the motion did they mention that these accounts were connected to End SARS. It was left out. Monday, Nikorodu, how are you?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome. Go ahead.
Thank you. Am I on with
Sandra?
President
Yes.
Sandra?
You're talking to Sandra. Go ahead.
Over the issue that you brought up, Central Bank closing the account of End SARS protesters. We can now see the government we are running in this country. These people that came, I'm sorry, the language I want to use, but I don't want to offend anyone. You know, this government came with propaganda and they came with from media publicity against the former government and they entered. Now we can see that these people are not helping matters. Now, the same government that is promising that they're going to help the youth for dialogue and other things, they are the same people closing their accounts. I don't know what they used to do. This government is not ready to listen to what they are saying. And like someone said the other time, the governor said that if they don't take time, Nigeria is on the gunpowder. And that is what we are seeing today. How can people account? And unfortunately, those they are using to run this is their problem. They use tribes that are not within their reach to do all these things. And what I feel that the way they are going, if they don't take time, I pray for this country that things are not going to be okay.
Monday, thank you for calling us. Oluwasegun, hello.
Good afternoon, Sandra.
Good afternoon. Tell me what you think about the CBN submission to the court.
In fact, this morning, Oluwasegun, have been boiling. Who does that? A central bank that cannot check how Boko Haram is being sponsored financially suddenly woke up yesterday and turned itself to DSS. And now the annoying thing there is that they are now lying. I think these people should be careful. Nobody likes war. But let us tell them at the same time that no one has a monopoly of violence. If they believe they are shrewd, we have people that are more shrewd than they are. The people are just taking time, hoping that they will be peaceful, like they said. If you really want peace, will anybody do this? Anybody that wants peace? I want to take the youth. We are all boiling. But no matter what, they should not beat us to submission. They want us to come down so that they can have their way. They are having their way presently, but we must have our say. And our say must prevail.
Oluwasegun, thanks for calling me. Michael in Victoria Island, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Sandra, how are you doing?
I'm very well. What do you think about the CBN submission to the court?
Okay, so they say he that goes to equity goes with clean hands. The central bank doesn't have a clean hand. He has a dirty hand.
Okay.
The call you had with that gentleman on Monday shows truly that they are trying to walk back and trying to be decent when clearly they are not.
Okay.
If you listen to all the government officials, be it Sayolu, be it the president himself, be it all the people in government, they've always said that the End SARS was the right call. I've never seen any government official that came out openly to say that the course was wrong. All they are saying it was hijacked, it was done this, it was done that. That's all they are saying.
Right.
But in itself, what these guys are doing was not right, or was not wrong. But why do you then go back? Every single person that was involved, we are now victimizing them under the should I say the authority of the state, which is wrong. What caused the problem in the first place was lack of trust, and that is exactly what we are doing. Are those youth the ones that were sincere? Are they dead? The answer is no. Are they observing what is happening? The answer is yes. That trust we are trying to build, will you ever succeed in building it? The answer is no. And again, you can do all you want to do because we are government, but it's a relationship between the governed and the citizens. I'm one of those citizens. And I see CBN trying to do this, and I said to myself, is that the best way to end the trust that you have lacked all through? And the answer is no. They can succeed in freezing people's accounts. The Boko Haram people, they are saying that these are terrorists. Meanwhile, the sponsors of Boko Haram, those in UAE, have identified them. What have you done about that? It was only the governor of Brown who said that, even came out today and said, let's pursue it. This is a good lead. You are not considering those ones terrorists. It's innocent people in Lagos that contributed their little quota for the thing you have claimed was right cause. Sandra, I think we are going the wrong path, and I hope Nigeria will survive it.
Michael, thanks for calling us. Francis in Victoria Island is my last call. Francis, how are you?
I'm fine. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What do you think about what the CBN has done?
Look, Sandra, the direction this country is taking.
Can you turn your
now,
radio off, please?
Oh, okay, a minute.
All right, go ahead. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Are you hearing me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Fine. The direction which this country is being made to face, Sandra, it will not do anybody good. We have been saying this thing for donkey years. They keep on telling us, keep still, be calm, nothing will happen, unity, peace, love, this, that. Sandra, this country is sitting on a keg of gunpowder. Those that think they own this country and that they make the laws, they are making peace in fact, they are making peace to evade this country.
Hello? Oh, I'm sorry. Connection to Francis lost there. But Francis, if you can call back, please call back. If you just joined the show, you're listening to the Big Three on Hard Facts. Every weekday, we start the show at 3, telling you 3 big stories, bringing you 3 big stories. And our first story is why the CBN froze the accounts of some End SARS protesters. The bank says it suspects these accounts of receiving money linked to terrorism. The Punch is reporting that they have seen the ex parte motion filed by the CBN last week, and they're telling us that the reason that is on that ex parte motion is that the CBN thinks that these accounts are linked to terrorism. Here's what the court order reads, according to the Punch. It reads, quote, "My lord, the nature of the transactions undertaken through the defendant's accounts are of suspected terrorism financing," end quote. Here's another one. "There's grave allegation that the defendants are involved in suspected terrorism financing via their bank accounts in the contravention of the provisions of extant laws and regulations. The aforesaid transactions undertaken by the defendants using their bank accounts can cause significant economic and security harm to the Republic and the public if left unchecked," end quote. Now, I should mention, of course, that nowhere in this motion did they mention that these accounts were connected to End SARS. It was left out. I should also mention that this is an odd thing to be happening, especially considering that the president, the vice president, the speaker, the governor of Lagos State, other governors in other parts of Nigeria have all said that the goals of the End SARS protests are correct and that peaceful protests are a legal right. In fact, one of the people whose accounts was even frozen is on the panel right here in Lagos. Let's take a break and continue this conversation.
Every day, someone stands a chance to be a winner. Really? Yes. 50,000 naira every week on Just a Minute Game Show. Just call in to any of our shows. The Morning Crossfire, What's Up Lagos, The Sunny Side, and Hard Facts. Answer as many questions as possible within 60 seconds, and we'll be giving out 50,000 naira every week. Yes! 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 Winners will be announced on Hard Facts with Sandra Ezekwesili. Just a Minute, the game show for everyone on your number one station for talk. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
Your number one station for talk. Let's talk.
This is the Big Three
The Big Three on Hard Facts.
on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
I'm Sandra Ezekwesili. For our first story, I told you that the CBN is accusing End SARS and their protesters of links to terrorism. Let's move on to our second story. When you call, you can still talk about the first story. But the second story is kind of related to the first story. Governor Akeredolu wants to know what End SARS organizers used their donations for. That's our second story. So we're still on this frozen accounts matter, right? And Governor Rotimi Akeredolu of Ondo State has weighed in. And he said the accounts were frozen because some money came in from suspicious accounts. Now, the question that a lot of Nigerians are asking is, if they knew those accounts were suspicious accounts, how come those accounts were not frozen and were able to transfer money to other people? Who owns these suspicious accounts that allegedly sent money to the End SARS accounts? Why are they not frozen? But before we get into that, there's something else that Governor Akeredolu said, which I want us to talk about. He said, quote, accounts are frozen. Is that the first time it is done? If your account was frozen, you justify why the money was there. You explain what you have used the money for. If it is okay, we pay the If it is okay, we pay this caterer to give food to these boys when they were there. We spent money for the hoodlums. We spent money before the hoodlums took over. It will be explained. People will know, and the accounts will be defrozen. End quote. That's what the governor said. So basically, you are not the first people whose accounts have been frozen. Stop complaining. Just tell us what you were using the money to do. And I wonder what you think about the governor seeing it that way. Now, I should point out again that the End SARS organizers have been giving public accounts of what they've been using the money to do. During the protests, they were putting tweets up almost every day with item by item expenditure. They were putting posts on their Facebook, on their website. If you go to Feminist Coalition website, feministcoalition.com right now, you will see a public breakdown of what they used the money for. People were saying that these protesters are more transparent than government. So I wonder if you think the points that they've not given account of how they use the money is valid. And also, does it tally with what the CBN said about the money being linked to terror? I mean, which is it? Which is it? And of course, it brings us back to the bigger point, which is that the CBN froze these accounts before getting a court order. And a lot of people keep hammering on that point. Were the actions of the CBN and the banks legal? 0700-993-993-993. Hello, thanks for calling us.
Yeah, this is Sylvester calling from Southline.
Welcome, Sylvester. Go ahead.
Okay. The topic is so interesting.
Yes, what do you think about what Akeredolu said?
Yeah, I think, I don't know. When somebody make a statement, a lot of people will read in a different dimension. So now, for the End SARS account that they have published, when I will come from that point of view. I think they are truly, like we have said, they are more transparent than the government. In all fairness, I'm not condemning the government, but sometimes when somebody have absolute power, he will practice it, wouldn't want to be corrected. And that which means that person, by what he gives you is what to take, and not taking what he is doing. So if I could say that what they were using, what that money was using for, the feminine coalition, they actually come out playing. He should check what they were doing. Everything is in public. They should refer him to that so that he will get every information. Thank you.
Thank you for calling us. We have another Sylvester on the line. He's in Ayobo. Hello, Sylvester. Are you there, Sylvester? Sorry about that. We've got additional loose strings on Twitter who says CBN is just telling us not to use banks again. You know how retrogressive it is to the 21st century society. Even now that many people are still being educated on the importance of bank savings, CBN is just proven to be one of the destructive tools of government. We've got more comments. Smart DJM says they know that if they leave them, youths are going to generate more money and remove them from power. And they didn't know that Nigerian youths can come together and voice out what is going on in this country. I'm pleading with everyone to continue to stay united. Budget on Twitter says, Sandra, Nigeria matter don't reach level where person go just sit, put hand on in jaw and cry. Cry so loud to the point where we begin seeing changes. We've got Ark on Twitter who says they want us to be violent so that they can prove to the world that the protest was violent from the start. A pig illegally drags you to the mud to win. Well, don't become violent. Everything that you want to request for, do it peacefully. Don't get violent. Ibukuno Lua is on the line. Thank you for calling.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So as regards Governor Akeredolu and his question, who asked any of them what they do with our funds, like all our tax money and everything, all the monies that we pay as tax and stuff, what the federal government is doing with our money, because we pay all this tax and we still have bad roads, our schools are nothing to write home about. Do you understand? What is his business with monies that individuals donated, that we came together and donated and, to fund our protests ourselves? Even though they still came out and killed us and shot at us and all that, what is his business with what we do with our money? Why is he asking? Who is asking him how he's spending state government? How is he spending?
Well, to be fair, Nigerians are often asking their elected leaders what they did with money from taxes. Nigerians are always asking that question as well.
Yeah, we always ask, but then they don't tell us anything. They always lie to us. Okay, so we have a budget. So in quotes, or how do I say it now? In principle, the money was spent on whatever it was budgeted for, right?
Right.
But how do we say that government spends money on, say, infrastructure, maybe road infrastructure, and all the roads in my local government are still bad? Or how do I say government spends money on healthcare, but I can't, if my daughter has malaria, I can't send my daughter to a government hospital because I know she would die there. So what are they exactly spending? We ask them all the time, but they lie because we see them in their private jets and their flashy cars, and we see their children abroad and all that, going to schools that they cannot afford on government salary. So what exactly are they telling me that they actually, if any government official was spending Nigeria's money on Nigeria, we would see it. Nobody is spending government, none of them is spending government money on the Nigerians. Everybody's spending the money, just putting it in their pockets, sending their children abroad to fancy schools and all that, which is. But I feel like it's not their business what we use our money. But
on the other hand, we're trying to say that that young people are better than these old guard. We're trying to say that young people are more transparent, are better behaved. So I mean, should young people have a problem with saying, you know what, here's what we did our money with, and that's what Feminist Coalition did?
So we did give accounts of what we used our money for. FK Abdul always updated, and Feminist Coalition and FK Abdul always gave updates every day at the close of each day or at the beginning of the next day. They gave updates of what they spent, how much was spent, how much was disbursed, what it was disbursed for. We spent this amount of money on legal. We spent this amount of money on food. We spent this amount of money on. Do you understand? So it's there. It's on Twitter. It's on their website. It's on their Instagram. So my point is, this thing is in the public domain, right? It's there. It's available. If you are not intelligent enough to go and find it where it is, it's not your business to ask in the first place. But if you really, really want to know, then it's available. It's there. Just go check it. Everybody, even random people on Instagram donated money. And they gave accounts like, okay, so we fed people in Bagada with social packs of food every day. We did this with social packs of food every day. It's there. It's online. If you cannot go and find it, it's none of your business in the first place anyway. But we have it. It's online. So just go check.
All right,
so most of these people are either semi-illiterate or, they just refuse to. I don't want to be insultive and stuff, but
thank you. Thank you for restraining yourself.
Really, really, really upsetting. But thank you, Sandra.
Thank you for calling Ibuku. I appreciate it. I don't know if Timothy is still there. I hope he is. Timothy, hi.
Yes. Hi. Good afternoon, Sandra.
Good afternoon to you. What do you think about Governor Keredolu's comments?
There is this saying that by their fruits we shall know them.
Okay.
And out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. You see, this End SARS protest, by the way, before I continue, my first time of calling on this program, and I must say that I'm an ardent listener of Nigeria Info.
Oh, we're glad to have you.
And I also want to say, by the way, that Nigeria Info is a catalyst of positivity. I wish companies and even governments will just, use Nigeria Info as a very veritable tool that will teach them or even educate them on how to. Anyway, that's by the wayside. So back to what I wanted to say before.
Right.
You see, this End SARS protest has unveiled a lot of things in Nigeria.
Okay.
And a lot of personalities.
Okay.
Starting from when the process began, who has been saying what and all that, and to the point where there was this shooting that brought about carnage. And I'm so surprised that the person of Akeredolu and even some other leaders have not come out decisively to talk about that carnage. And here we are chasing shadows.
Well, they've come out to talk about it. They've talked about, the burned buildings and the burned cars and the burned toll gate. And
but what about the lives that were lost? Can you place a value to that?
Well, they've also talked about the policemen who were killed and the police stations that were burned.
Then what about the protesters that were killed, or rather the innocent people that were killed? What about those ones? I condemn in totality the destruction, the wanton destruction by some, elements, that came and hijacked the process. I condemn that in its totality, and as well as those who attack the policemen, because even the police and the citizenry, they are supposed to be on the same side.
Right.
Because it is from the citizens that you draw the police. The same thing too, from the citizens, from the populace that you draw the leaders. But in this case now in Nigeria, it's crystal clear that we don't have leaders. What we have is just rulers.
Timothy, thanks for calling. So there's an interesting controversy brewing online between the Corporate Affairs Commission and Enough is Enough. And that's our third story. And then I'll hand you over to people who will teach you how to trade Forex. Now, many of you know EIE. If you don't know EIE, they are an NGO that operates in the civil society space. Yesterday night, the Twitter handle of the Corporate Affairs Commission tweeted that it had deregistered EIE. Why? Because according to them, EIE had initially registered as a commercial company, but now they were operating as an NGO. This, of course, would be illegal. So the CAC was removing their registration. Now, when they tweeted this, it sparked a debate. Some people asked why EIE would operate as an NGO after registering as a company. Others asked why CAC would be tweeting about the registering a specific organization. Some said it was political because, according to them, EIE comes across as being fairly critical of the government. And the political angle started to get more buzz, right? Especially when Bashir Ahmed tweeted about the deregistration. Bashir Ahmed is the media aide to the president. He's the new media aide to the president. So when he tweeted, people now started talking about how, oh, it's political. People started asking, why is the president's aide tweeting about a CSO getting deregistered, especially a CSO that some people feel is critical of his principle? There was now a second episode. EIE tweeted, they posted a picture of their certificate of incorporation, and it showed that they registered as an NGO. It also showed the name that they registered with. And that name is different from the one that the CAC was talking about. So it would appear that there are two enough is enoughs. One is an NGO and the other is a company. Now, if that is true, it means that the CAC made an error and they registered a company doing legit business because they mistook them for the NGO. Now, as you can imagine, this led to serious banter online. People were really making fun of the CAC. Bashir Ahmed ended up deleting his tweet. People accused the CAC of going on a witch hunt and hunting the wrong witch. And now there's episode 3. Just before I came on air, CAC tweeted again. They posted a tweet which listed the names of the directors of the company they deregistered. I guess they believed the identities of these directors would prove that there is a connection to the NGO, but it caused more backlash because Nigerians are asking, does the CAC have the right to publish names of directors of a company like this? There are questions about whether it violates NDPR, the Nigeria Data Protection Regulations. But yes, it's quite the controversy and it's raging on Twitter at least. Now, I'll let the lawyers weigh in on that particular one. Please, when you send us your thoughts via WhatsApp, because we've got just 1 minute, and then we'll hand you over to the guys from Olymp, who will teach you how to trade Forex. 0700993993. I'm not taking any calls. Sorry about that. I'm going to take WhatsApp messages. WhatsApp only. Let me know what you think about this controversy. What do you think about government handles using Twitter in this way? Do you think the CAC and Bashir Ahmed could have, handled this situation in a better manner? Or do you think that they should not have used their Twitter handles to single out this case? Because I'm sure this is not the first person that has been deregistered. Now, on Twitter, End SARS Chibunna says, it's quite pathetic that we're sharing space with lawless government agencies like the central bank, and we expect investors to come and do business with us. Can Governor Keredolu and SANO give us a breakdown of his electoral spendings as required by law? Joy Forever says CBN that cannot detect SARS accounts used for kidnapping and emptying people's money. CBN that cannot freeze Boko Haram funders. Governor Keredolu is low, even as a sign it shows the thinking in the government corridor. EIE deregistration was announced by Bashir. No comment. We've got more comments on Twitter. Hero Benedict Maria says it's because these politicians want to retain power by all means. All right, let me hand you over to Raleigh Academy. I am Sandra Ezekwesili. The glass ceiling is coming up afterwards. Don't go away.
One station gives you great talk every day.
On the show yesterday, you spoke about the tariff hike, electricity tariff hike.
Yes.
I'm hearing news today that it's being postponed till next year.
City of Lagos, did I say it yesterday? I am a prophet.
Hear the news and tell us your views.
Congratulations once again to Liverpool, despite the disastrous outing they had tonight.
Your number one station for talk.
The WHO gave a guideline for organizations,
right?
Yes, to implement to reduce the spread of coronavirus in your group, in your companies. Here in N Group, we've done
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.